Okay.
Hi, this is Anja Horvat Jerumil for Ekologičan View, and I am honored to have such a famous guest, a famous UK raw foodist, author of many books, owner of online store, or maybe I forgot something.
No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mother, okay, important role.
Yeah.
I'm really honored to have you as my guest, and I must admit that I really admire your image, which shows me that you must be one really creative, open-minded person. So maybe we can tell to our viewers how someone like you starts a raw food journey.
How did I start?
Yeah, maybe on shortly.
Yeah, well, for me it was intuitive really. As a child I was always interested in healthy choices, although there weren't many around, when I was growing up. And as soon as I left home I became a vegetarian, and then as soon as I became a vegetarian I became a vegan. And as a vegan I was eating a lot of fruit and a lot of salads. And a friend said to me, "You're like a raw foodist." And I was like, "What's a raw foodist?" And so I looked into it and I realised I was. So it was in 1993 when I made the conscious decision to go raw, and it's been quite a journey since then.
And did it happen sometimes to you on the beginning of your raw path that people around you being negative about raw food because the lack of their knowledge on this area, and would also open some doubts in you because you were new in this and so on? Does that happen any time to you?
Not so much. I think I've been quite fortunate. I haven't really encountered that much negativity. I think one is I don't really, if people aren't interested, I don't bring it up. So, for instance, if people ask me what I do for a living, I generally say I teach healthy living. I don't say I teach raw food, because then immediately they're going to get confused. You're an average person. So I just kind of say I teach healthy living because that's something everyone can grasp. And then if they want more information, obviously I'm always happy to offer more information, but I don't kind of go around kind of shoving it down people's throats at all. And I think the other thing is people just sense how you feel about yourself. So I think if you are obviously doing well and happy about yourself, people don't really probe too much. It's if you're looking unwell or obviously haven't got a lot of energy, people might sort of wonder what's wrong with you. But because I've generally always got very good results on the diet, then people can see that it is obviously working for me. And I think it's to do with your energy as well. And if you're comfortable and relaxed about something, people pick up on that. And if you're defensive, people pick up on that, and then they're more likely to sort of become a bit more antagonistic. But if you're obviously very comfortable with what you're doing, then I think people find it hard to kind of what's the word, to have a go at me, because I'm always so just like, yeah, everything's okay. I don't get drawn into arguments, and I'm just like, if someone wants to be different from me, then that's totally their right, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna have an argument about who's right and who's wrong. I'm just gonna go, this is what works for me, and if you want to hear about it, great, and if you don't, fine.
Yeah, great. What about when people say that raw food is not good for us because we need to receive at least one hot meal per day? And I think it's amazing that because you're the right person for that question, because we live in nearly the similar climate. So what would you say on that? How do you go?
Yeah, I would agree actually. It's very important to eat warm food, and I think that's one of the things people do wrong a lot on raw foods, is they think raw food has to be cold. And actually 38 degrees is quite warm. So I think it's really important to eat warm food. I have a lot of medicinal teas, herbal teas. I use Chinese herbs, Ayurvedic herbs, European herbs. And also we have a lot of soups and sauces, and we warm things up a lot. So I think it's right. I think eating too much cold food, maybe if you're in California it's different, but if you're in a cold, damp climate, in the northern European climate, certainly, it isn't suitable for eating lots of cold food. Doesn't work.
And maybe can you expose some other benefits of eating raw?
It's It's just everything, really. It shifts everything. I don't think there's any area of your life it doesn't touch, because it's working on such a deep level. You know, I always say I've been, you know, interested in alternative practices and spiritual practices for sort of 20, 25 years, and I've tried out a lot of things, a lot of different forms of meditation and yoga, and you know, I've explored lots of different avenues, but I don't believe there's anything that goes as deep as raw foods. Raw foods is so fundamental, and when you start shifting on a cellular level like that, and when you look at your diet, you know, you can start following a teacher like Byron Katie or Eckhart Tolle, and you can start doing yoga and all those things, but they're still optional things. When you shift your diet isn't optional. So when you change the way you eat, you're really fundamentally changing the way you live and the way you approach your life. So it's mental, it's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's everything. And you know, for me, I've always been a very happy person, and I've always been the sort of person who, you know, makes the most of things, and I haven't, you know, I wasn't really looking for, you know, when people say, oh, you know, about changing your life, and I always used to think, but I'm really happy, I don't need to change my life. But what this does is enhance everything, and it doesn't matter how good your life is, it can always be better, and that's the kind of path it puts you on. It's just always looking, always, you know, expecting, as one famous raw foodie says, the best day ever, always looking for the next best thing and seeking that and finding that, because when you have that mentality, you know, everything can just keep getting more enhanced and more exciting.
As I understand, you are also known by superfoods. Can we say something on that? What are benefits?
I personally believe superfoods are really important at the moment. I think, one, because we're under so much pressure, our bodies are under so much pressure from all the pollution. There's all the pollution in the environment, there's all the electromagnetic pollution from mobile phones and internet signals and all that. So we really need to really watch our nutrient levels. Plus the nutrients just aren't in the food anymore, because of modern agricultural practices we can't get the nutrition we need from our food anymore, which is tragic, but that's the way it is. So I believe superfoods perform a really essential part of our diet to, you know, for anyone, whether they're raw foodist or vegetarian or meat eater or anything, having superfoods in your diet can really just gift your energy again to just to another level and really help everything function more smoothly. I kind of don't like the word superfoods. It's kind of a bit of a hype term. It's a bit of a cliche word, and it's become a bit of a marketing thing, isn't it? But I feel, you know, basically what we're talking about is the plant kingdom, and there's so many amazing medicinal plants, you know, that really blur the line between what is the food and what is medicine. And when we start exploring that world, it's, you know, there's thousands and thousands of plants that can help us for all sorts of different, you know, different problems and issues we have in our bodies.
What about some foods, some superfoods, or how do we call it, are not growing in local area? What do you say on that? Because some people say that we must eat what is locally grown.
Yeah, well, I agree with that as well. I think it is really great to eat locally grown food, and I try with my fresh fruit and vegetables to eat as much stuff from the UK. If I can't get it from the UK, I'll only get stuff that's been brought on a boat. I won't get stuff that's been on an aeroplane, as much as possible. Ideally, yeah, if we could get all the nutrients we need from our local area, if you're growing your own food and you're putting really good nutrients into the soil, then that is obviously ideal. But most of us, you know, I live in a city. If you're in an urban environment, it's just not practical. So you have to do what you can. And when you're looking at superfoods, you know, these are such potent foods, they're so concentrated that with most of the ones I recommend, things like reishi and ashwagandha, I recommend that you just take very, very small doses, like 1/4 teaspoon a day. So although unfortunately you do have to bring stuff on a plane, you're talking about such small amounts, and compared to the average person's diet who's going to be eating so much of their food that's come over on a plane, you know, it's very minimal and unfortunately necessary, I think, at this time.
How is with rawness with superfoods? I recently just heard that spirulina and barley grass and some are not really raw. How is with that?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, especially with something like spirulina, because so many people manufacture spirulina now that you have to really look at where it's come from and the quality. Yeah, it can be an issue, and yeah, no, it is an issue with some of them. So yeah, it's just a question of making sure you get ones that are really good quality. But there's enough of the raw online stores around that sell things of really good quality. And I think it is always true, you get what you pay for. And with these things, if something's half the price, if one brand is half the price, there's probably a reason, unfortunately.
Yeah. And how strict are you in your diet, that everything is raw or not?
I don't consciously choose to eat cooked food, and I haven't consciously chosen to eat cooked food for a very long time. But that's I believe it's really important that it comes from your body and from your intuition, and that you listen to actually what you need. So I just am at this point now, because I've been doing it about 20 years, where I don't ever crave any cooked foods. But that's the issue for me. It's not about being strict. It's not about laying down rules. It's about listening to your body. And the more you listen to your body, the more your body knows that it just wants the very best, and cooked foods aren't the very best. So.
Nice.